Hello, Ellie Diecast again, and in this video, I thought we'd do a little bit of restoration. I got two emails this week about the restoration stuff I do, which is really just customizing. Restoration is I'm sure there are restorers out there of diecast cars that do far, far more than anything I do. But most of you know that my real passion in collecting is with Matchbox cars. And the Hot Wheels, I like Hot Wheels, but my own collection is with Matchbox cars. And I don't do too much customizing with them, but I do buy them fairly inexpensively and try to restore them so that I can add them to my own collection. These three cars, well, actually, these two, I just thought of that. These two right here are from my collection when I was a kid. And believe it or not, this car is in near mint condition. It really is in good condition. A little bit of chipping on the top. This was my car when I was a kid. And boy, I remember playing with these cars a lot. And I must have played really lightly with them. Nowhere near as hard as I remember. Let me get the animals out of the back. These are safari critters from a near future project. But you can see they're in real good shape. And none of these here are particularly hard to find. But something like this little forklift. Here, let's get the right name on it. I don't remember the name on this guy. He is a, I can't get the light right on it. He's a Sambron jacklift. This one. And this one is, I think, a Fawn dump truck. Fawn dump truck, yeah. Fawn dump truck. And this guy's a front loader. Let's see if I know my Matchbox cars well enough. He's a bite dumper. It's not at all what I thought it was. We'll call him a bite dumper. He's carrying the polar bear right now. These types of cars, fairly easy to find at car shows. You won't find a lot of them, but when you find them, they're not overly expensive. Most Matchbox cars from the Superfast era, which these are from, these kind of big, beefy, kind of iconic Matchbox cars, they go from anywhere from 50 cents to about $4. You can find some that are worth a lot more than that if you get the right casting and the right color and the right country that it was from. But for the most part, most of mine are inexpensive ones. But what I want to do is restore some. Now, those don't need restoring, so we're going to park them over here. But I have some here, like this jacklift and this, I guess we're calling them a bite dumper. I always called it a front loader. But these cars we're going to restore. Now, originally, I've painted this one and this one. And I've gotten as close to the original coloring as I could. Oh, don't want to get my wheels mixed up. Put those wheels back there. You can see here's the original, that kind of Matchbox yellow. And probably here on the video, they look exactly the same. My yellow is a shade paler or saturated, more so. But I got close. I had to mix that color, and I got pretty close. Shouldn't say I had to mix it. I have a gallon of the stuff because I use it a lot, but at one time I mixed it. And we're going to put these guys together. So I'm going to move the little bite loader over here. Get these guys in two piles. Let me get the two big castings here. The first thing I'm going to do is get you caught up on what I've done already. I've taken these apart, so I drilled out the rivets. Both of these I think have one rivet. Yeah, one main rivet in them. They might have had some smaller ones. And I have sanded them. I use 600 grit sandpaper to initially sand them, and then I use a Dremel with a burnishing compound to smooth them out. So I've come in here and filed out a lot of the imperfections. These always had some pretty serious seam lines in them too, and I've filed those out. So I got them as neat as I could. Then I painted them with a coat of white primer, and then it was acrylic, and then I used acrylic yellow, again, that I mixed myself, painted them, one coat. And then I have already put enamel on this, and I use, you've seen it before, but good old Rust-Oleum crystal clear enamel. Stops rust too, just in case. But that is by far the best one that I found, and I use the rattle cans for that. I use a spray brush for everything else, but I use rattle cans for the enamel, just easier. But I've only put one coat, and I don't know if it's going to show up here. I'll try to get the sun, but you can see that there's some real light kind of bumpiness to that, or it's almost like a dust coat on it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here with 1000 grit sandpaper. I just use a tiny little piece. And because it's got enamel on it, I won't hurt the paint. Don't ever do this with a dirty piece of sandpaper like I just did. There we go. You use a dirty piece of sandpaper, it won't work. Make sure I get this right. Okay, there we go. So what I'm going to come in here is just sand this, and sanding is probably not the right word. All I'm really doing is just lightly rubbing any flat surface. And what that's doing is it's just sanding out those imperfections. Oh, you can't see it. There we go. If I look at the camera, you can see it. I moved the camera to the other side because I thought it might be easier, but I'm right-handed, so I don't know if that's going to be easier. And don't worry if it looks a little cloudy when you're done sanding it, because the new coat of enamel will cover that up and make it all shiny. Okay, I'm going to turn off the camera while I do this, or it's going to be a lot of boring sanding, and I'll be back when that's done. Okay, and we're back, and that took about, oh, I don't know, 8 or 9 minutes to do both of them. Remember, all I'm doing here is, we say sanding, but I'm just very lightly rubbing the flat surfaces and the big corners. So I'm not getting in here and really scrubbing any areas, or you're going to scrub the paint off. And you can see there, that area there, I actually scrubbed the paint off. I'm going to have to touch that up. But you're just very lightly rubbing, and you won't be able to see it here on film. But what it does is it kind of gives it a cloudy look, but it's very smooth now. And so now when I spray more enamel on it, the new enamel will fill in those tiny little cracks and scrapes that are causing the cloudiness. Oh, maybe you can see it. If I catch the light right, you'll be able to see it. See the kind of burnishing marks that are on there? That's from the sandpaper. Put it here in the middle. And the new enamel will fill in those cracks and make it shiny again. But if you scrub down to the see right there, if you scrub down to the yellow or the paint, then you damage it. And you can fix it, but still it's kind of a pain. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to spray these with enamel, and I will be back. Back a little early. Before I spray these, I wanted to show you how I get them set up for spraying. I use these dowel rods, and these are, I should have looked, I think they're 1/4 inch. I think these are 1/4 inch dowel rods that I just get from Walmart. They're, oh, they cost practically nothing, and you can get them by the dozen or cut your own. And then I have a, is this a female? I think this is a female electrical tip. I'll tell you in a second. Should have had all this ready, but I've got some more here, and I'll give you the manufacturer and all. Here they are. Oh, well, that doesn't help you much. Here they are. I think those are female electrical tips, something. I don't know. I don't do electrical, but you get them in the electrical department at your hardware store, and they come in a lot of different sizes. Get the size that fits the screw that you usually use in the bottom of your diecast. So these I have to drill out slightly to get the screw in there, but not a lot. And sometimes I can even kind of force the screw in there. It's not going to hurt anything. But you can see I've got them both set up. And this one I have set up so the back will kind of flip open, and that's so that I can get underneath there. because I don't want to take the back off. These are hard to get back on, and I want to be the least bit destructive to these things as possible. So be back in a second with them all enameled with their second coat. Okay, and we're back, and while those are drying, and it will take a while, they won't dry. Oh, you could probably work on them on a regular warm day, within an hour if you were really careful. I would recommend not touching them for at least 6 hours. And ideally, I don't get around to them until the next day. So I always just spray enamel when I'm done for the day. But, the microphone over here. So, but in the meantime, what we can do is, this is pretty common, is you get wheels like this one here. And this one isn't bad. You can see it's a little chipped up. The other side's probably in a little bit worse shape. All the wheels on these, this one's probably a better example. You can see the wheels are a little bit dinged up. So what I'm going to do, and I use a Sharpie for this. As I have been told by many, there is no shame in using a Sharpie. Just use what you can, but you could use a paint pen like that you get at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. It's a pen that actually has paint in it, and it will be a little bit more metally looking. The problem I have with the paint pens is they're just a little bit more liquidy, so they're harder to use on this type of process. And all I'm going to do is come in here, and I'm going to try and do this with the camera where you can see it. And I'm just kind of brushing over the top or raised areas of the wheel. And if we take our time and use an amazing amount of dexterity to work around this camera, we will have, there you go, we will have a perfectly new wheel. Look at that. Boom. So we'll do one more here and then I'll do the rest off camera. All I'm doing is just scraping the brush across the raised part of the rims, the part that would be silver. Be careful over about the tire part. This Sharpie ink will come off if you get to it quickly, but it's meant to stick on whatever it goes on. So that's the first thing. The second thing, and I'll do the rest of these wheels off camera, but the second thing that I do is quite often with these axles, again, not going to show well on camera, but I'm going to move this. If you can hear that scraping sound that it's making, that's the plastic wheel kind of scraping against all the gunk that's on the axle. And so all I do, again, use some 600 grit sandpaper and just, I'm going to show very well here on camera. Here, let me get out here. Can't get it in an angle you can see it. And just scrape down the axle, or sand down the axle, so that you sand off all that gunk. You can see my axle's actually a little bent too. I should explain that. When I'm doing these little restoration projects, my goal is to get the cars in playable condition again, as close to new as I can do without spending too much money. I'm not restoring them to resell them. I'm not trying to fool anybody into thinking they're new or some different color version or collectible. All I'm trying to do is just bring them back to a state where they can be played with. You can see now that spins perfect. It's really easy. So I'm not trying to, really restore a expensive little toy here. But I also don't want to invest very much in supplies and all. So if the axles are pretty straight, I usually leave them. It just saves a lot of time. If the axles are bent, then I have to replace the axles, and I'll do an axle replacement video sometime in the future, but all these wheels are perfectly good for what we need. Okay, I'll be back once I get the tires done and the enamels ready. Okay, and one more step before we get to putting them together. It's funny, when I do these by myself, I don't think in terms of how many steps there are. I just kind of blow through it all, but when you're videotaping it, you gotta cover all the steps. I'm gonna cover the insides. We've got some inside parts here. Well, we'll do the truck first. There you go. There's your 3 parts. There's this little seat area. All I have here is water and a Q-tip. And just kind of, you can't see anything with the camera in that angle, can you? Here, let me try something real quick. Just a second. Let's see if I put this up higher. Oh yeah. Oh, look at that. Brilliant. All right. All we're going to do is scrub this down. I can hear all 70 viewers of this video saying, finally, I can see. Just scrubbing it down. You can see how dirty it was. Well, maybe you can't on the video, but it was pretty dirty. So we're just going to scrub that down. I'm going to wipe it with a towel. Nothing special. Just wipe it down. Get the water off of it. There we go. And then my special ingredient is this stuff. Pledge Floor Care. I've done a video with these before on cleaning windshields. Just make sure that you get the type with Future Shine. I have to order this off of Amazon because I cannot find it in the stores. It is probably totally poisonous or something. That's why they don't sell it in stores. But 1 bottle of this stuff will last you the rest of your life, trust me. And I'm just going to pour a little bit into a container. And I don't want to dip this in there. All I want to do, and I'm using the wet end, is just kind of dip that in there. And then just kind of scrub this on here real quickly. Try to get it into all the little cracks. And what this will do, besides giving it a little bit of luster, is it fills in all the cracks with acrylic, because that's all we're dealing with there in that floor shine care. It's just acrylic. And there we go. Then I'm going to use the other side. And you got to do this fairly quick before it starts to dry, or it'll get sticky. And all I'm going to do is real quickly get in all those little areas there so you can see it. And I find if you don't scrub it off, it gets a little too thick and a little too shiny. It doesn't look like what it used to. There you go. And now this guy, look at that shine on that. All those little cracks and imperfections, well, not all of them, but a lot of them, are now filled in. This one's plastic too. We'll do it real quick. So a little bit of water. This is the base. Rub it down, get all that dirt out of there. If you don't get the dirt out, you're just going to seal the dirt in. I know a lot of guys will use, they don't like to use a Q-tip for this because of that type of action. I just constantly clean them. The Q-tip gets into all the little crevices. We don't really have to get the bottom, but, and a little bit. This guy in there. Remember, don't use anything if it doesn't have that Future Shine in it. Future Shine is magic. Some sort of magic atoms that they put in there, especially for us diecast people. You can also mix that stuff in with your airbrush paints. It gives acrylics paints a little bit more strength. I used to. I don't anymore because I find it kind of clogs up the paint a little bit more than normal. So I don't anymore, but some people do. There we go. Get all the puddles out. There we go. That guy's nice and shiny. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to do the rest. Okay, back one more time. What I'm doing here is cleaning the wheels, and I'm still using that Pledge floor care. You can see the wheels here are in pretty good shape. I don't know if the camera will pick up, but here, let's see if I can focus in. But there's all sorts of very tiny little scratches. Now I've already painted this one, so that rim is painted up. But I'm going to use that floor care, and I'm not getting near the rim. Well, maybe you can't tell, but I'm not getting near the rim there. I'm just polishing it up, and this will kind of remove any little bits of dust that are still left on there. The back end of this Q-tip that I'm using now is dry, and now I'm mopping up that floor care. Or it's acrylic is what it is, liquid acrylic. There we go, and now you can see that that little wheel is in much better shape. All right, let me go get these guys ready and we'll put them together. Okay, we're back. Let's put this guy together. Should have all the parts now. All cleaned up. Our wheels are clean. Our rims are in pretty good shape. We've sanded down all of the gunk except for this one, which now I cannot find my sandpaper. Where's my sandpaper? Okay, be right back. All right. Sorry about that. I missed an axle. I want to put it together with all the axles all rickety. All right. So, let's carefully turn this guy over, see what we got. First, we'll put in the inside. By the way, did you know that this goes backwards? See the seat there? It goes backwards in there. Just like that. See that? Seat's backwards. It drives like this. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. You learn something new every day when you take apart Hot Wheels. Okay, and then I don't remember which piece is which. I think it's this one. There we go. This is going to go on here. You need to kind of snap this one into place so it gets around that rivet hole there. This guy is going to sit on top. Now this one has a very tiny, let me get this in here close and point straight down. It's got a very tiny rivet here, and these were common on these the Matchbox, especially with the Superfast eras, that they had two size rivets. They had these big rivets that you see a lot on Hot Wheels, but then they also had these little rivets, and usually those were holding the insides in place. I'm sure there's screws that will fit that, but I haven't ever found any, and even if I did, I don't really want to buy the equipment and the drill bits and everything to deal with that. So what I'm going to do is snap this into place, and then I'm going to put a little dot of glue on that to hold it into place. So I'm going to move off camera here for a second. The reason being I have not put these back together yet. So let's see if they fit. Okay, they're going to fit. All right, and then we'll put our wheels in there. And if I remember right, big wheel goes in the front, little wheel goes in the back. Is that right? No, big wheel in the back. Okay, big wheel in the back, little wheel in the front. There we go. This big wheel, let's take a look at him real quick. He is sitting in there properly. Okay. And this piece is going to go on top. Right here. I'm going to give this one shot on camera, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to pick it up and put it together over here. Oh, there we go. If we can get it to snap into place, let's see. There we go. All right. And we missed one here. We missed a piece. We didn't hook this guy in properly. Well, got to kind of take him apart here for a second. We didn't hook him in there. And now, as usually is the case, there we go. We can't get him apart. What happens is the enamel is thicker than the usual paint job. And so it sometimes makes it harder to get back together. The parts don't fit as good as they first did. Okay, we're going to try this one more time. This piece slides. It's like Rubik's Cube puzzles. If you like puzzles, you should definitely get into die-cast models. Okay, this guy is going to go in there. Well, so I don't waste any more time. I'm going to do this off camera because I can't get the angle I need. Be right back. Okay, we're back, and we're going to take our screws here, and I'll show you the size that I use. 256 1/8 is the small ones, and if you want to copy that down, you can. That's actually the identifier on Amazon. Yep, Amazon. And I've already drilled my hole in the old rivet stand. I've also used a totally forgot what this is called now. Duh. A screw hole making thingy. A tap, that's what it is. And I'm going to get ribbing for that. And I've just slowly gone through and notched about 4 or 5 little screw ribs in there so that my screw will fit. All right, and we'll put this in there. Just a second. I do it on camera, but I can't work around the camera very well with that angle. All right. Okay, and what happened here, it may not show, but my screw needs to go down about 2 more turns to really fit in there well. So what I'm going to do is just screw that a little bit deeper. In the meantime, this will hold it in place plenty good enough for the last step. I'm going to come in here and make sure that this is all snapped down. And then what I'm going to do is just put a little dot of JB Weld in there. Be right back. Okay, and we're back. So I actually just took out a little bit more of that rivet peg so that my screw would fit better, and you can see I've just put a little dot of JB Weld in that smaller rivet hole. Now I do it that way. A lot of people I'm sure would want to screw that in. Just checking, make sure that's really in there good. There we go. And but this little guy will be ready to go here once his JB Weld dries. So let's do the jack lift real quick here, and we'll get it from over here. By the way, I didn't mention it, but that acrylic enamel had dried overnight. I know it looks like it dried in a couple minutes. Don't work on your cars after spraying them with acrylic enamel a couple minutes after you spray them. Bad things will happen. So this little guy should go together fairly quickly if I remember how he goes together. So this piece here should, if I remember right, it fits in here, yeah. And then there's a little peg in the top that is part of this little jack lift system, so I'm going to kind of pin that in there. This guy goes in here. If I can get all his parts hooked in properly. There we go. Is that in there right? You'll know it's right if the little jack lift works. Let's see. Yep, it does. Okay. And wheels. I think the front wheel was the big one. Back wheel. Oh, these are the same size wheels. There we go. And then, last but not least, this piece. Hooks in there. Hooks in there. There we go. I need to drill that hole out right there. These two guys are going to get JB welded. They're actually smaller screws. Be right back. Hello, we're back, and it's been a few days since I did the other parts of this video, and to tell you the truth, I don't remember where I left off, so I hope I got everything complete. I'll do a quick recap of the last couple steps, but I put these together. They had been enameled for the second time, so they have 2 coats of enamel on them. If I'm doing real customs to sell, I'll usually do 3 coats of enamel, but with these Matchbox, which are just going to go in a shelf in my collection or be played with, we're only going to do 2 coats. And I had wiped them down with a buffing compound, which I don't think I covered in the last video. But the polishing compound I use is this. It's this metal polish cream, this Blue Magic. Zoom in on it. And I haven't found anything as good as this. I've tried a lot of different, everything from buffing creams for Dremel tools to car polishes. And this is by far the best. And I wiped it down once when the enamel was dry, after it had dried for about 24 hours. And then I wiped them down again just about an hour ago. In fact, there's actually, I just saw it, there's a little bit of buffing compound right down in there. Got to remove that. But don't use very much. Use a microfiber towel, something like this. You can get these at Walmart or anywhere. They're real cheap. And they'll last forever. The advantage of doing very small things. And just wipe them down. You just buff them. And you can see that they're pretty shiny now. And the bottoms are all screwed in. So, like I covered, there's one screw here. Let me get something to point with here. Here you go. Oops. There's one screw here. And this I used JB Weld. That's the smaller rivet. And I don't have screws to fit that. And even if I did, I probably wouldn't want to be drilling down into that small peg. Here's the other one. This one actually had 2 screws. I totally forgot about this one, but there's a screw there that's holding the whole body together, and then there's a screw here that's holding this front wheel in place. So it has 2 screws. You can see there's 2 JB Weld marks here, and those are holding in the back wheel, I believe. It's holding this bottom plate on. We buffed the wheels. I think I covered that, so that they're nice and shiny. These are the original wheels. They were pretty trashed at one time. Repainted them. And once we're all done, so these were completely recreated. I got both of these for 50 cents at a car show. They were pretty well beat up. Just the paint. Everything else was in good shape. Here's my original from when I was a kid. And amazingly, the one I had when I was a kid is probably still in better condition than the one I just put back together. Andrew noticed there's some scrapes right there. I asked him which one was the new one and which one was the old one, and he figured it out immediately. The paint's not matched exactly, but it's pretty close. Here's another one. This was my Fawn dump truck. So this is the restoration. This is the original. And we do... Okay, sorry about that. My camera got full. This is the original car that we had. And this red back is a little bit rarer than the yellow back, but you can see the colors are almost exactly the same. So hope that helps. I kind of covered a lot of ground there. I didn't mean to do that much, but you know, with these restorations, you can take an older car and you can really restore them to look really pretty good. And if you... Okay, sorry about that. My camera cut out. But to wrap up, you can see that, you know, you can take older cars that you find at a car show for maybe 50 cents, and they're going to have beat up paint because they've been played with. But as long as the main parts are in good shape, you can repaint them and you can get them in real good shape for your collection or to give to your kids or whatever you want. So I'm going to wrap this up. Again, that's the original, that's the restoration, that's the restoration, that's the original. So I will see you in the next video, and have a good Christmas. Bye.